Evening and welcome to the January 27th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference. Please be patient. We'll do our best to be efficient and allow everyone to participate. This meeting is also being broadcast and streamed online by FCTV in real time. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. The chair recognizes the attendance and assistance of all our staff members, Jen, Kevin, Alyssa, Mark, Amy, and Susan. We are missing two commissioners tonight. Therefore, Mark and Pat will both be pulled up to for quorum. And again, I'll remind you for commenting, I'll call on each of you at the appropriate time so that we don't speak over each other. And when I call for your vote, please state your name and your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public participants, there will be an opportunity for public comment for each hearing. If you'd like to comment on a particular hearing, you may submit any comments or questions via the chat function once that hearing has been opened. At the appropriate time, I will call for public comments and any submissions will be read into the record. The link and further instructions are posted on the agenda. First up tonight, vote minutes, January 20th, 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I have read the minutes and find them in order except for one correction. On page 10, about a quarter of the way down, David Martin is identified in parentheses as a builder. He is in fact an engineer. All of the rest of it I find in order, so I'll move that we adopt the minutes as corrected and with any other corrections that my fellow commissioners may offer.
Carlo
Yeah.
Hawk, second.
I
all
made a
right.
couple of corrections that
We have
I,
a second. Go ahead, Pat.
I made a couple of corrections that I forwarded to Susan.
Okay. So the motion and the second are to accept them as corrected. So with that in mind, Betsy,
So I wasn't there last week. I think I could vote. So if I can vote, I vote aye, Gladfelter aye. And if I can't vote, then I don't vote.
Jen, I think it's okay, no?
That's fine.
Ministerial function.
Yeah, well,
Just a
that's what I
minute.
figured. It's like signing the orders.
All right, Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat,
RSI.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
thank you. We have accepted the minutes of 120. Next up, our request for determination of applicability. First item is Richard Boss, 203 Chappaquay Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install a dune fence.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Jen,
the applicant has requested continuance until February 3rd.
So move.
Carlo Hawk, second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this until February 3rd. Betsy,
Gladfelter aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat,
RSI.
and Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Is unanimous. We're continuing this RDA until 2/3. Next up, Thomas DeMello and Cynthia Feldman, 15 Hawthorne Court, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a new garage and front deck, to install a new gravel driveway, and to trench a new underground electric line. Mr. Newton.
Mr. Chairman, staff recommends a -2 under the state and the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Carlo Hawk, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
RSI.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
you. Next up are requests for hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First up is Eugene Clerkin, 67 Cliffwood Lane, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct and maintain a deck and porch additions. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. To construct and maintain deck and porch additions, steps, retaining walls, roof drainage, and for all associated clearing, grading, utility installation, landscaping, and mitigation plantings. Jen,
Mr. Chairman, we're going to table that until further in the evening, please.
okay, we need to vote on that.
Yes.
So I make a motion to table this.
Bird.
Okay. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
RSI.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Is unanimous. This hearing is tabled till the end of the rest of the NOIs. Next up, Marion K. Wright, trustee, Marion K. Wright Trust, 15 Dara Lane, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to upgrade the existing non-compliant septic system to a Title V septic system, to install a water service and to abandon an existing well.
Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Zachary Bazinski with Bracken Engineering to present the project.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Bazinski.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, for the record, Zachary Basinski, professional engineer, Bracken Engineering. I'm here this evening on behalf of Marion Wright. I'm going to share my screen at this time.
Sure.
So to recap, existing single-family developed house lot. House was constructed in 1969. Resource areas on or near the lot are a BVW to the north, a AE flood zone elevation 15, the associated coastal bank in accordance with the town bylaw and DEP 92-1. So as mentioned at the opening, Mrs. Wright is selling the property and looking to upgrade the existing septic system on the property. Currently, it's comprised of 2 daisy chain cesspools in the back of the house. We're looking to abandon those in accordance with Title V, install a new 1,500 gallon septic tank, 1,000 gallon pump chamber. This work is going to be requested to be in the backyard in the coastal bank. We were contacted by staff to see if we could move these tanks to the front of the house or the side. Unfortunately, the existing plumbing comes out underneath an existing slab, and we're unable to move those tanks out of the bank. If you've been to the site and you've seen the pictures, it's an existing slope lawn area. It's a bank just by definition. So a new system would then be pumped up, new force main, and then a new Title V compliant septic system sited in the front of the lot. Septic has been sited outside the 100-foot buffer to the BVW, but does still fall within the 100-foot buffer zone to the top of the coastal bank. And with that, I will turn it back over to the commission.
Excellent. Thank you. Jen, do you want to begin?
Sure, I mean, I don't really have that many concerns with the tanks going in the bank. It would have been nice to have them outside of that area, but if the pipes are underneath the slab, that's fine. Zach, can you just explain the issue that the staff raised on their staff report with that mode wetland?
Yep. So we were contacted by Alyssa to review the existing cleared area. I'm going to share my screen again just to show you a picture. Let's see. Sorry about this. Let me just get the correct picture. Can you see that picture?
Yes.
Okay. So staff had asked us about a wetland area that's been in the back. It's been mowed. Historically, Ms. Wright bought this property in 1993. This was an aerial that was given to her. It's historically been mowed as a lawn area all the way down to Rand Road. Go back, we look at the town aerials. It's been like this since 1975, the last aerial that we can see. House was again built in 1969. Ms. Wright did install a fence off of Rand Road down this side to prevent people from actually pulling into the wetland system. And then based on her historical knowledge of the area, she's informed us that this has actually been getting wetter recently. Prior to this was a pretty dry backyard. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Obviously the staff, would recommend against continued mowing of that area.
Mhm.
So that's all we have to, that's all I have.
Mr. Newton, do you have anything to add?
No, I just echo what Jen was saying. I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
All right. Betsy,
I have no questions, thanks.
Courtney,
I would agree that, it would be nice if they didn't continue to maintain that, but if that was maintained like that since before 1979, they can by right. Am I correct in that? In other words, we can't put that in an order. That's my only comment.
understood.
All right.
We can pass that along to the homeowner.
okay. I mean, it's nice that at least the leaching field's out in the front, so, that's something. Mark,
I have no comments.
all right, Maury,
The only comment I have is that when I went out there, it's pretty much, is it just Phragmites that they're mowing, Jen?
It looks like it, yeah.
I don't, we allow a lot of Phragmites removal, and maybe they could think of a better thing than just mowing, but to do a restoration at some point, but that was my only concern. One, that it was just Phragmites, and two, that they should maybe think about long-term, a better project out there for that wetland.
Correct.
Pat,
No questions. Thank you.
Peter,
I'm always glad to see Title V instead of a cesspool. No further comments.
excellent. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm gonna make a motion to close this hearing and take it under advisement.
Third, second.
We have a motion and a second to close this hearing. If there's no further comments. All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks Eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Buzinski.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment, Jamie? Oop, he's gone.
Sure.
He's gone.
What?
I was gonna suggest, he didn't really show where those tanks were gonna go. I mean, you could tell from the plan where they were gonna go at the edge of that bank. But they should be staked.
Oh, yeah.
Kaczynski now.
Thanks, Jen.
Not a problem.
Excuse me. All right, next up. Stephen Parker, 12, Lot 39, Bridge Street, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a single-family dwelling with associated clearing, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Mike Burselli up to present the project. Mike, is there anybody else who'd like me to promote up?
Nope, there's no one else.
Who else?
All right,
Okay.
You're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. I represent the applicant. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
What I'm sharing with you now is the Town of Falmouth GIS map, just for reference of where the property is. It's highlighted in yellow. The intersection of Acca Pescott Road and Minot Road's here. Minot Road and the bridge goes off to the east. Bridge Street continues down to the south. Yeah, you may remember recently you issued an order of conditions for this lot for Ralph Cataldo. Prior to that, at one point in time, recently you approved an order of conditions to raise and reconstruct this house. The applicant before you tonight is asking permission to construct a house on this undeveloped lot. And this is the actual lot known as Lot 39, number 12, Bridge Street. It has waterfront on Green Pond. There is a narrow band of salt marsh. There's a coastal beach. There's a low profile coastal bank here that was determined by a site visit with staff to be non-eroding. And there's also a flood boundary shown in blue that delineates between AE 12 and VE 15. And we've also shown the 25-foot Falmouth velocity zone line here, parallel and 25 feet from the FEMA velocity zone. We have also shown the no disturbance zone A to Salt Marsh, the no disturbance zone A to the non-eroding coastal bank, and the outer buffer zone B to the coastal bank. The balance, this area where we're proposing to develop is AE 12. So the house needs to be constructed to meet your standards under land subject to coastal storm flowage and FEMA standards. The project's been actually customized, and the house itself was designed to fit the buffer regulations found at FWR 10.18, where the limit of work is proposed to be 100 feet from the most landwood, no disturbance zone A. In this case, it's salt marsh as opposed to coastal bank. So we're showing the limit of work right on that line. You also have a section of your regulations where you have a no structure zone, and your policy with regard to the width of the no structure zone is 10 feet. So I've shown 10-foot minimum from the limit of work, and we've actually shown a dashed red line showing the 10-foot. And you can see that the architect Denise Benoli has actually designed the house. There's a couple of jogs. The house sort of telescopes, if you will, to narrows down as the available room from the no structure zone to the frontage for the septic system and the zoning setback. It has to narrow down to fit between those regulations and the no structure zone. So the house is proposed to be a 3-bedroom. It has a covered porch here. It has the septic system designed to be 10 feet from the house because the house will be a slab on grade. The reserve area is shown, the septic tank is shown, and all these components are 10 feet from a property line. So we work closely with Denise Benoli to customize the house to fit on this lot to meet your regulations. There's a requirement, although we're not within a no disturbance zone, that we provide some improvement. And in this case, the improvements are limited. So as with a few other recent projects, we're proposing to install a row of native shrubs in locations that are appropriate to delineate, permanently delineate the limit of work. So they're shown along this boundary. They're not mitigation planting, they're improvement planting to meet the section of your regs that requires some improvement. There's dry wells proposed to contain roof runoff. The staff made some comments. One I expected. You have recently been requiring, and it makes sense to show trees that are nearby to the limit of work, 25 feet from the limit of work seaward. So we subsequently, after we had filed the application, when we went out to stake the house for your viewing, we located these trees. And they're not on the plan that you have before you, but they're on this presentation plan. So I apologize for that. I'm happy to continue the hearing if you need me to, so you have more time if you need to, but we have shown the trees. There's one oak tree here of note that will remain. It must remain. And then there's some other oak trees down in this location, and then more seaward, there's a scattering of oaks as well. There was another comment that we didn't show the path. We mentioned a path in the narrative, but we didn't show it. What we prefer to do is come back for an amendment for the path. There's a high likelihood that once the house gets, if you approve it, once the house gets underway and constructed, that the applicant would come back to file a request for an amendment for vista pruning. And at the time that we come back for the vista pruning amendment, we would also show the path once the applicant sort of understands where the most appropriate place for the path would be. I think that sums it up, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Jen?
Our only comments were the tree, so if the board's fine with the presentation plan, the staff will accept it. It's really gonna be up to the board if you want to continue the hearing. And again, just the path, so they'll have to come back, so we can make a note that the path will have to come back under an amendment. Other than that, it's fine. We went out with Mr. Borselli handful of months ago to look at the coastal bank before they started designing this, so.
All right. Mr. Newton, do you have anything to add?
Mike, I was just wondering, is that covered porch ground level? Are there steps with, associated with that porch?
It is
Okay.
ground level. Any steps would come off this edge here, not this direction. Oh, I'm pointing at a screen that you don't see.
I think I understand what you're talking about, though.
On the
I think
they
we're
come
all
off the-
following it though.
They come off the south end.
All right, thank you.
All right. Mike, did you say you already did the plan showing the trees 25 foot out?
Yeah, I didn't submit it with the application, but after I filed the application as is required, we staked the site, and then I located the trees because the survey crew was available. We did it, it was efficient to do it at the same time, so.
Oh, yeah.
They're on the plan now. They're not on the plans in your file, but they're on the presentation plan that I shared with you a few minutes ago.
Okay, well, as Jen said, that's, I mean, from my point of view, that's not continue worthy, but we'll see what everybody else has to say. What about a rinse station, AC and generator?
They have not been designed yet. There's a new buyer. In the property's under purchase and sale agreement. In fact, we submitted paperwork from the owner that gave permission for us to apply during the process. So if this is approved, we would come back for an amendment for those elements as well when we come back for the vista pruning.
Okay. All right, and lastly, I think I read something that there was somebody said something about whether the lot was buildable, and that's not under our purview, so the building department will determine that. And Mike, I assume you were already looking into that, but I just wanted to say that, we're aware of that.
But we've had two attorneys render opinions that it's grandfathered.
Okay, but again, that's not for us to decide.
Mhm.
Jen?
One quick question, Mike, just kind of triggered. You said that you would come back for the amendment for the AC units and the rinse station when you came back for the Vista Prune, but you know that we're not going to approve the Vista Prune prior to the house being built. We always like the houses to be built before we do a Vista Prune.
Yep.
So how is that gonna mesh? Are you gonna
Well,
and then come back and ask us if you can have them?
the AC units in the rinse station would probably be, one of the last things that's done. We would be getting a handle on the best view for vista pruning once the house is under framing.
Okay,
So that's when we'd know when.
Okay. Just want that to be clarified. Thank you.
All right, Mark.
Looks good to me. No comments.
All right, Maury. You're muted, Maury. You're muted.
Muted. Maury, you're muted.
He's already when you need him.
Where's Art?
I can read lips, and she's saying it's an awesome project. She has no questions.
Best engineer ever. Yeah. All right, Maury, we're gonna
Just
come back
calling
to you.
Art right now.
Maury, Pat,
Best project ever, Mike. I have no questions.
Peter,
No questions.
Betsy,
I'll give you an attaboy for it, Mike.
Oh, wow, thank you. I'll take it.
Right.
Courtney,
No questions. I mean, I assume any issues with zoning or lot size doesn't have any bearing on the
I
time.
think I'm good. I think I figured it out.
All right,
Just a
what'd you
minute.
do?
I hit that. Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
you are unmuted.
Great.
Go away now. Thank you.
It's all on you, Maury.
Hi, Art.
Go away, Art.
Hi, guys.
Don't go far.
All right, the only question I had, when you were talking about the AC units and the shower stalls, you have, this property, the structure is literally already maxed to its 10-foot setbacks. So where would they go?
AC units and rinse stations aren't required to meet the zoning setbacks. They're not
Okay,
considered
perfect.
structures.
That's all. I just want to make sure that, if you had to find a place, you better look now.
Understood.
And the only other question, Jen, I have for you actually is, when it says it's an improvement and you're giving 24 viburnum along the line, but you actually denuded a property, is that okay?
I mean, that's really gonna be up to you guys. The regulations say that if you're working in the zone B, you do need to offer some sort of improvement to the property.
So
Obvi-
how kind of you took
Determined.
everything away that's an improvement?
Obviously, you can't
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Mike's trying to make some kind of a compensation, but obviously you can't. You're taking down all the vegetation.
Well, you could if you made the house smaller.
Uh,
Because right now that the viburnum are only going to be 5 foot off the house.
Mm-hmm.
But you
So I don't know
allow-
how they're going to grow because they get quite large. So, I'm just throwing that out there. I think it's, I'm not against the project. I'm just throwing these concerns out that when viburnum get large, they're right now, the little green dot looks cute, but when they get big, they're not going to be so little and they're going to be touching the house. So,
it would be likely that they'd want to maintain the viburnum, and if they wanted to, they'd have to come back for an RDA or an amendment, because I agree with you, I have viburnum in my yard, and if I don't keep them pruned, they get very bushy. Maybe there's a better plant choice, but I was concerned about shade. I'm not a landscape designer. I don't know if high bush blueberry would be more
We
appropriate.
can, Mike, we can work with you on that one.
Okay,
yeah, it's just, we have our
Viburnum's gonna
little
get big.
10-foot setback from the houses and now,
yeah,
we won't let mitigation or restoration be within 10 feet, but an improvement can be 10 feet. So I just want to throw that out there. Thank you.
Sure.
Can hope for another fire so I can leave.
Oh, man.
It's that
Careful
speaker
what you
didn't
wish
get
for,
fixed.
Yeah.
you know? All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Yes, there actually is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
The question is, well, are abutters notified about future amendments for vista clearing and the paths? And the answer is, if the vista pruning paths and AC units, and generators and all of that come under a request to amend the permit, yes, you will be notified as abutters. If the requests come in under an RDA, which is a request for determination of applicability, which we do review paths and vista pruning under at times, no, abutters are not notified at that point. So I would just say, sign up for an alert on our agenda through the website, and you can be alerted to every time we post an agenda, and you can just track the agendas.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate that these are amendments anyway, though?
Yeah, it would.
I would likely be doing it that way. I mean, I would plan on doing it as an amendment.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
welcome, sir.
So
no
I'd like to
secrets here, right?
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close this hearing. And sorry, I'm writing at the same time and I shouldn't be. Anyway, so we have a motion and a second to close this hearing, take it under advisement. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Benny, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Thank you. It is unanimous. We've closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Boselli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commission.
All right. Next up is a continued hearing under notice of intent. Lynn Riley, 0 Gale Avenue, Assessors Map 40-12, Parcel Lot 040-000, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling, to install native plantings, and to perform all associated clearing, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Chairman, Mr. Balselli is still here to present this project. Mike, is there anybody else in your project team or just you?
Just me.
Just you, okay. And the commission should all be looking at a revised plan with a date of January 15th, correct, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
You're up, Mr. Boselli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, Mike Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, represent the applicant. With your permission, I'll share my screen again.
Sure.
I'm showing you a Falmouth GIS map of the general surroundings of the property. The property is highlighted in yellow. It's actually 5 acres of undeveloped land, with the exception of a common driveway that meanders through the middle of it. Gale Ave is a paved developed road from Davisville for a certain distance. You can see the houses, then it transitions to a dirt road. It actually crosses land under your control, Town of Falmouth land under the control of the Conservation Commission. And right at this boundary is the land owned by the seller. My client is a buyer and has also submitted documentation from the owner giving her permission to apply as part of the purchase and sale agreement. The dirt road runs through, it curves down, and there's a cluster of single family dwellings here. And the applicant is proposing to develop only this area that I'm circling with my mouse here, and the rest is to remain undeveloped. I will also show it now. I'll show you the site plan. So where I was circling with the mouse is the same general area here. Gale Ave in the town of Falmouth. Conservation Commission land is on both sides of Gale Ave. This is the gravel road that runs through. The applicant's boundary would be in common with the Conservation Commission land. And that road continues through the site, and I didn't, for scale purposes, I didn't show the whole lot on this plan. The wetland resources of note that were previously flagged, reviewed, and received an ANRAD approval through the offices of Warwick and Associates. I think it was Barbara Frappier did this work a few years ago. The wetlands include a salt marsh, which is shown here in green. There's a coastal bank, and it's a non-eroding coastal bank, and in the degree of slope was pinpointed, and you'll see these lines, and there's a highlighted area of the coastal bank. Then the land becomes less than 10:1, so it's no longer a coastal bank. And then there's a section that's just slightly steeper than 10:1, and it's a fragmented coastal bank that's not adjacent to another wetland. So there's no disturbance zone A's and outer buffer zone B's from these wetland resources. The 100-foot from the salt marsh is here. The 50-foot from the top of the bank is here. So the 50-foot from the top of the coastal bank in this case is the most restrictive no disturbance zone. And similarly to the other project, the applicant has designed the house to meet the regulations at 10.18, which require a no structure zone. And again, I've shown the 10-foot line. In this case, only a small portion of the house is, a couple of these corners is near the 10-foot. Because of the shape of the bank, there's greater separation. The homeowner, I'm sorry, the applicant, assumed to be hopefully property owner, and I, along with her son, did their best to orient the house. We placed stakes. The house is going to be fitted with solar panels. They're trying to do a, I forget the term, but it's a energy efficient home. So there'll be some clearing of the trees on the south and west side. So the limit of work is a little bit further from the house than is typical, but it's all in an outer buffer zone B. The driveway comes in from Gale Avenue, the dirt road portion of Gale Avenue. There's a couple of parking spaces, and the septic system will be sited in the same area as the parking spaces. And that is all more than 100 feet from all wetland resources. There's no town water, so there's a well proposed, and that is sited here. And it's more than 100 feet from the reserve area of the septic system. Again, we're faced with a section of the regs requiring an improvement, and lo and behold, we're proposing the same thing. I guess the only difference here is the viburnum will be able to grow, more, they're further from the house, so that there's one choke point here where they'd be a little closer to the house. But I'd be, again, open to consultation with the staff if viburnum isn't appropriate, but it's the same situation with concerns about shade. This one too, I don't have the trees. The survey crew just was not able to get there to locate the trees. So I apologize for that. You require trees within 25 feet of the limit of work, and I just have not done that. So I would, again, expect that you may want a continuance if there's no other issues. You might need a continuance for other issues. But I'm happy to provide a plan that shows the trees. I think that sums it up. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Jen?
Mike, speaking of trees, So yes, I would like to see the trees on the plan. But also, can you kind of show on the plan the trees that are gonna have to be required to be removed for the solar panels?
I suppose I can.
Especially
there's-
if they're in our jurisdiction, because I know there's probably gonna be a lot of trees removed for those solar panels. Are they they're roof mounted solar panels, or is it on an array?
Roof mounted. If I could share my screen
Mounted.
again briefly, I'll show you.
Sure.
So your limit of jurisdiction is this line here. So,
Okay.
so in an effort to have a yard and to provide, you know, a sufficient distance from the house to limit shading, the applicant intends to remove the trees basically right up to the limit of work over here, which is, this is a B zone, outer buffer zone B. This is outside jurisdiction. This is an outer buffer zone B.
So there'll be no trees removed within the outer the no disturbance zone
Absolutely not. No, here's the.
for
note.
the solar array, for
No.
the solar panels.
Absolutely not. We wouldn't be
Okay.
allowed to do that.
Okay, so the board should imagine that everything within that limit of work is going to be cut. Okay,
And I was gonna show the trees within 25 feet of the.
yes, I'd like to see those on plan.
Yes, and we're happy to do that.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
All right. Mr. Newton, do you have anything to add?
No, I just would like to say, I appreciate Jen bringing up the solar panels, because I actually had been on site with someone before where I came across this issue where they wanted to take down some trees that were under your jurisdiction, and it kind of posed a problem for them, and they didn't think about that before they put in the solar panel. So it's, that's definitely something to think about. Besides that, I don't have any other comments.
Just for orientation, if I could, north is over, north and east is over here, so south and west is over here. So this is that's why this house was placed here. So
Right.
that the,
Mike, we can't see.
You're not.
oh,
Looking
Jesus,
at you.
You
We're
know-
not looking at the plan.
sorry.
All right.
The south and west side of the house is here where the you get the benefit of solar gain, and that's where the trees were. The north and east side is over here. And there's no plan, and we wouldn't be allowed to do any cutting beyond this line, because this is the no disturbance line.
Right.
I have one more question, Jamie.
Okay.
And it's Mr. Newton's question from the last hearing. Where are the stairs on that deck, Mike? These are the small little things we catch at the building department level when we see the architecturals for the houses and the decks, and they're always getting kicked back.
Yeah,
Really is important that these small little things like the stairs on a deck are shown, because we will kick it back to the builder if the architecturals do not exactly match these site plans.
understood. And I can submit a revised plan with the stairs, but this is like as close to grade as it can be for a deck. So there'd be one tread and two risers here. But
Okay, show them on a plan.
I can show them on the plan,
Yep.
and I can submit the plan with the trees as well.
Perfect, thanks.
One other thing, path, there's a series of paths that meander through both the Conservation Commission jurisdiction land, and they meander right through this site. So as of right now, there's no plan for a path like there was on the other application. If there were some other path required, contemplated, we'd have to come back. Same with the vista pruning.
All right. Maury?
AC pads, shower stall, that sort of thing as well.
As of right now, I'll have to consult with my client. If I will add those to the plan as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all, thank you.
All right, Pat?
No questions, thank you.
Peter?
Comments or questions?
Betsy?
No comments or questions from me either.
Courtney?
Since you're submitting a new plan, could you show the first floor elevation and the deck elevation on the plan?
Yes, I can do that.
Other than that, I have no questions.
Mark?
I have no questions. Looks good.
All right. Jen, what's your feeling on the new plan?
It's up to you guys. I mean, I don't mind having the plan just submitted to the staff level. It's just the trees, first floor elevation, possibly that riser and those treads. It really is up to you guys.
All right. Again, I don't feel that it's continue worthy, but I'm open to whatever anybody else has to say.
I mean, if we're gonna start putting like generator pads and rinse stations on there, I really do think you should have it as a continuance, but it really is just to be cleaner. But I mean, the trees is
Sorry,
one
Mike, I
thing.
tried.
No. But I mean, the trees are one thing, guys, but if we're gonna start putting a rinse station on and generator pads and things like that, I'd like you guys to see that. Sorry, Mike.
That's fine, not a problem.
I mean, we can get,
Alright.
if you can get it to me, I mean, you'll have to consult with your client, the 10th. I don't even know if you're here on the 10th anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Have to have it in by next Wednesday.
can you do that?
Yes, I can
Can
do
your
it.
survey crew go locate the
Yep.
trees by next Wednesday? Perfect.
Yep, we'll do it.
Okay.
All
So
right, before we go that way, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Yes, there is. It's the applicant, Miss Riley, and she says it is a passive house.
Excellent. Nothing else?
No, that's it.
All right, so Mike, what's your request?
I've requested continuance to February 10th to add the information you requested, including the trees, first floor elevation, deck stairs, rinse station, AC, and possibly a generator. I don't know, but I will add all those elements to the plan.
So I'll make a motion to continue this to February 10th.
Bird, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until February 10th. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks Eye.
Pat,
RSI.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Excellent, it's unanimous. This hearing is continued until February 10th.
Great.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Boselli.
Thank you
Good night,
all.
Mike.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.
See you next week.
All right, Jen, do you know if Tim's available?
Tim is here.
All right. So, just because we like our details, I need a motion and a second to untable 67 Cliffwood.
So moved to on table.
Carlo Hawks second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to untable 67 Cliffwood. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks Eye.
Pat,
RSI.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Is unanimous. We have untabled. I'm going to read it again just for clarity. Eugene Clerkin, 67 Cliffwood Lane, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct and maintain deck and porch additions, steps, retaining walls, roof drainage, and for all associated clearing, grading, utility installation, landscaping, and mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Tim Santos up as a panel to present the project. Why does
All right.
Zach keep coming back?
Tim, we're up whenever you're ready.
Good evening. For the record, Tim Santos, representing the applicant. First, I'd like to thank the staff and board with working with me and tabling the meeting. Zoom is both a blessing and a curse with people wanting you to be in two towns on the same night at the same time. So thank you for working with me on that. So again, Tim Santos, Holmes McGrath, representing the applicant, 67 Cliffwood Lane. And with your permission, I will share the screen.
Yes, sir.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, the property is located at 67 Cliffwood Lane. It's on the corner of Cliffwood Lane, Yankee Lane, and Governor Bradford Lane. So it's kind of like a two-corner lot type lot. Property is currently developed within a existing single-family home that was constructed back in '84. An order of conditions was issued and compliance was issued in '85. The resource areas on or within 100 feet of the property are a vernal pool to the north side of Cliffwood Lane, an isolated wetland on the lot, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage in this area down to the south of the house. The applicant's before you tonight looking to construct a proposed addition to the east of the house, a proposed porch, as well as an expansion of, there's an existing deck back here with a set of steps that comes down, and he's looking to remove that deck and enlarge it with a new set of steps that comes down. And we're also proposing a gravel pathway that wraps around from the back area and a set of wooden steps up and over the riprap if you've been to the site, with some minor grading and minor stone landscape type walls that are probably about 1 foot to 1.5 feet high at tops. In accordance with your redevelopment regs, any increase in impervious type surfaces in A and B need to be, or increase in development in those areas need to be mitigated for. There is approximately 275 square feet in A in this area right here. And there is an increase in A down here on these steps, as well as the small portions of retaining walls and the walkway. That's about 275 square feet. In B, there's 345 square feet, and that is the increase in the deck and the steps here. In accordance with the redevelopment guidelines, there's a 3-to-1 increase in A and a 2-to-1 increase in B, totaling 1,580 square feet of mitigation plantings that we are proposing on the site. 320 in this area, 870 in this area, and I think this is 390 down here to meet that criteria. Currently all roof runoff right now is a set of gutters, and the applicant is proposing a drip strip that will go to various dry wells around the house to control roof runoff. We believe this is a pretty straightforward project, and if the board has any questions or concerns, I'd be more than happy to address them. So I'll stop sharing and then answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tim. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the only question we had for Tim was whether his drip strip was included in his calculations. I spoke with him this afternoon and he doesn't believe it is because it is part of their drainage structure. Am I correct, Tim?
That is correct.
And that, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Newton, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Peter, we'll start with you.
No questions.
All right. Pat?
I just wanted staff's input concerning the narrative contained in the notice of intent that concluded the coastal bank was not performing any of its functions, and therefore they were not going to show the A and B zone on the plan. Does staff have an opinion about that?
If you look at the way the water's coming in, Pat, it's at that upper reach of the flood zone. I mean, all coastal banks, do play some role. They do provide some function. Technically, the A and B zones should probably be on the plan for this. But can the applicant overcome significance in this case? I believe that they can. I mean, look where the coastal bank is on the law. Where is it? There it is. Top of coastal bank is coming right through there and around where that freshwater wetland is, because that's where your water is going to back up. So if the board does feel it's important to have those A and B buffer zones on there, we can ask for a revised plan. I do agree with some of the bullet points that they put in for being not significant to the interest, and I don't agree with others. So let's put it that way. But again, it's interesting because I was having a conversation with one of your fellow commissioners this afternoon, and at first they thought the water was coming in a completely different way. So if it's helpful to the board when you're always looking at these projects, go on the GIS for the town, especially these flood zones that appear to be fairly far inland, and see how the water is coming in and how that's going to impact the property and the adjacent properties. It's helpful.
And where are the floodwaters coming in on this property?
Betsy, how do I say that again?
Mashapaquet Creek. This is the very Mashapaquet Creek, the little bridge that you go over on Nashawina Road.
Okay.
Mashapaquet.
right.
So
And this is the tail end of that flood zone.
the tail end of that flood zone, correct.
Well,
My internet.
I
here-
personally,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I can try to pull up the GIS in it's been really slow at my house lately. I can try to pull it up and it's not wanting to.
your explanation, Jen, and I defer to staff's expertise on this issue. I just thought found it a little off-putting that they concluded it had no value and therefore they weren't going to show.
All banks have values. So Tim, you are hearing the commission. Next time, put the buffers on.
Yeah, understood. We hear your concerns and we can add them.
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Maury,
The only two things that I had a question on was the mitigation planting that's along Yankee Lane. If everybody's happy with it there, I mean, there's not many places to put it on this lot. I guess the vernal pool is across the street. That was the only concern. And then the mitigation, the 870 square feet that has the 2 trees in it, that I think that's only like, it's got a wall there, so it'll be protected. That's a good thing. And I would recommend that it probably be the red maples because it's pretty wet there. Okay. Other than that, thank you.
all right. Mark? You're muted, Mark.
Sorry, no comments here.
All right, thank you. Courtney,
No comments.
Betsy,
No comments.
all right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Not for this project, Mr. Chairman.
All right,
Well, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement. Gladfelter.
Bird, second.
all right. We have a motion and a second to close this hearing and take it under advisement. Jen, just to ask, if we're not having the buffers on the current plan, do we want them on a plan for the record?
Yes, so
Or does it
Jim,
not
put them on
matter?
the plan for the record, please.
Yeah, I can get you the plan tomorrow or Friday, Jen. That's not a problem.
Okay,
Just so that it's in the record, that's all. All right, so we have a motion and a second to close this hearing. Betsy,
Gladfelter, I.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Santos.
Thank you. I'm here for the next one too.
All righty. All right, next up. Request to amend an existing order of conditions. Joseph and Mary Noonan, 183 Surf Drive, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP 25-4517 to alter the location of the house, to decrease the size of the house, to increase the size of the driveway, and to install mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Tim Santos is here to present the project.
Excellent. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Tim Santos from Holmes and McGrath representing the applicant, and I will share my screen if that is good with you.
Yes, sir.
Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
there it is.
Again, property is located at 183 Surf Drive in Falmouth. This project was actually before you in February, and the board issued an order of conditions for the construction of a new tear down of the existing home and construction of a new single-family home. Since that time, the applicant has done some modifications to the footprint and some relocation of the structure. Originally, and a reduction of the footprint, I should say, too. So originally, this structure was, if you can see let me get to the hand. The hand right here was about 16 feet off this property line. So we've moved it back to 23 feet, and it was originally 9 feet off the top of the bank, and we moved it back to 10. And we've reduced the lot coverage from 23.2 to 21.8. In doing so, by sliding the house further away from the abutter and the bank, it slightly increases the length of the driveway. So there's a 22 square foot increase of driveway, which means we need to increase the mitigation by a 3-to-1 ratio, which we've done, and increase the mitigation plantings surrounding the house. So basically, there's a 66 square feet, I think it is, or 65 square feet, 66 square feet increase of mitigation plantings from what you originally approved. So basically, it's the same house that you saw before, slightly smaller, with about 60 plus square feet more of mitigation plantings. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you, Tim. Jen?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions.
All right. Kevin?
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Betsy?
Less house, more mitigation plantings. What more could you ask for? Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Courtney?
No comments.
Mark?
No comments.
Maury?
No comments.
Pat?
No comments.
Peter?
No comments.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
It doesn't appear to be, Mr. Chairman. Hang on, I can't see that. No, not at this time.
All right.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird, second.
All right. There's no further comments. We have a motion, a second to close this hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, I.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark?
Rooney, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawkeye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
it is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you again, Mr. Santos.
Thank you for your time. Have a great weekend, and thank you for working with me on the moving of the meeting.
No worries,
You're
Tim.
welcome.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Jen, can I assume we have to take these separately?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have requests to extend the existing order of conditions. First up, Teague Campbell, 147 Bay Road, North Falmouth, Mass, DEP 254346, requesting a 1-year extension.
Yes,
Tim?
Mr. Chairman, we recommend a 1-year extension.
Bird, so move.
Carlo Hawk, second.
All right, minimalist of words. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
I'm sorry, does anybody want to have any comments on this or questions?
Well, I'll
I don't
ask the
think so,
question
but-
why,
All right,
just for the record. The question is why, the-
Courtney, which one are we on? 47?
yeah,
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm bringing up the letter. And basically, it just says due to personal issues beyond his control, the construction has been delayed. So it's basically a bulkhead kind of project. So part of it's been done and the section has been delayed. So the staff doesn't have any concerns with granting a 1-year continuance.
okay, and this would apply to,
With DMF on time of year restrictions, so it's fine.
and it'll apply to the other one as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
we're doing them separate. So you voted aye, correct?
I don't know that I've voted yet, but I will vote aye. And now Courtney doesn't have to ask his question when we get to the next one. 'Cause
That's
she
right.
answered that.
Courtney, how do you vote?
Bird, aye.
Thank you. Matthews, aye. Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
It is unanimous. We have granted a 1-year extension. Next up, Teague Campbell, 148 Bay Road, North Falmouth, Mass, DEP number 254347, requesting a 1-year extension.
Again, Mr. Chairman, the staff recommends a 1-year extension.
Bird, so move.
Carlo Hawk, second.
All right, anybody have any comments or questions? All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
Thank you. It is unanimous. We've granted a 1-year extension. All right, next up, vote order of conditions. First up, only up, Town of Falmouth, Department of Public Works, 0 Minot Road, parcel 45-20-002-000, Falmouth, Mass.
You want the quorum?
Please.
The quorum is Courtney, Jamie, Pat, Peter, and Mark.
Courtney, Jamie, Pat, Peter, Mark.
Correct.
Thank you.
This is the Groin Beach Nourishment and Parking Spot project. I mean, it will be done in conjunction with the bridge widening. So it's going to be 2 major construction projects going on at once. We have time of year restrictions that we'll be working with. Obviously, there'll be a series of pre-construction meetings, when we go out to bid and everything else. Construction. Monitoring after the project is completed. It's going to be sorry. There's something going on outside my house. Monitoring is going to be a really big component to this project. They had proposed, I believe, 3 or 5 years of monitoring. Annually, every other year, something like that. I do believe it should be done it should be done ongoing. And just so the board knows, the town has appropriated money for beach profiles every year on all the town beaches. So even if it's not tied to this order of conditions, this beach will be monitored going forward in the future. The town has committed funding to do beach profiles of all the town beaches. So rest assured, it will still be monitored well beyond this order of conditions. Monitoring. I think it's really important to spell out the grain size. They said John made the presentation. There's gonna bits of that presentation we'll pull out and put into the order, but he said every couple thousand cubic yards they would analyze the sediment that they're putting on the beach. So I think that's important. Do you want to have any sort of special conditions on the construction of those groins? I'll go through John's
like,
methodology and kind of the way he said how they're going to remove stuff and then start building it back. The whole area is going to be, that whole stretch, Minot West and Minot East, are going to be absolutely completely under construction. So it's going to be a massive project. I think we had an
Pay off in the end.
What was that?
Said it would pay off in the end, though.
Oh, it will. They'll have the environmental monitor out there. So we'll ask for that. The town will be monitoring it. Any other highlights that you want me to focus on when constructing some conditions?
I'd like to see something where they, I don't know the verbiage to use, but report on what they found, what they did when they take out those foundations and pilings.
Okay, that's good, Jamie, because he was very, I've seen those guys personally, been out on the beach when they're pulling those pilings out, especially the ones in the water. They're like 20 feet. They're huge. They don't know what they're going to uncover when they get in there. And one of the one of the reasons we had them go through this was because, remember, during the bridge project, they just wanted to bury that foundation and move on. It was like, no, you need to get that out of there. So, but
I would just like some documentation of what. Yeah, I'd like the documentation of what they find. And I'm not saying that's anything negative. It's just, I'd just like to hear what they find.
Yeah.
And if I could go back to the monitoring, I think there should be a 5-year monitor. I realize what you said and I accept all of that. But I think for this particular project, I think the 5 years is not, overreaching,
Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Plus, we'd want something after every storm, major storm.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Jen, do you recall where the sand is going to come from? Is it going to be dredged or is it going to be trucked in from?
some of the sand is gonna be from when they dredge out the larger channel. But that's not gonna be all of it. Remember, he said a large portion of that sand, because a lot of that sand's already accounted for because of, now I'm thinking back to the bridge project. A lot of that sand's accounted for because they're creating a series of dunes on the east side of the channel. And they're replanting all those dunes, which caused the whole a butter issue the last time. So, but he is saying that some of the material that's going on the beach and creating the dunes along the parking lot is coming from the dredge spoil, but there's not enough sediment. So they're gonna have to truck some in, but we can also say that the material that's trucked in should be used to create the dunes, and then the more natural, the dredge spoils should be used for the beach nourishment. How about that?
That's a little tricky. isn't
I
it?
know, I've said it and I'm thinking, how are we gonna do this?
I don't know what comes out of the dredges, but you don't want.
It's gonna be a mix.
beach. Find stuff that's washed right out again.
Yeah,
You
it's
want-
gonna be a mix of materials.
You've got to make sure they monitor the dredge sand as well, grain size,
Yep.
because we can't have real fine stuff on the beach or it'll just disappear quickly.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to see in there? Jen, anything else we should consider?
Thinking. Toys, pre-construction monitoring, sediment, environmental monitor, documentation on what they find, foundation. Planting. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I am gonna go. Oop. I will go back through the presentation again and pull out additional conditions that the staff feel should be on the project. I'll also go and look at the bridge project order of conditions and kind of mirror that, since it's going to be the same project team, everything. So we're going to be out there quite a bit.
Yeah,
Just because
should
it
there be a-
also is going to be incredibly interesting to watch them do.
yeah. Should there be anything regarding the handicap portion of it? I mean, that's all gonna be ADA compliant anyway, right?
They have the handicap, parking areas. I'm assuming the path going down is, I don't know if the path going to the beach is going to be ADA compliant. It must be.
They said they're gonna bring pads out.
Pads, like, so what I'm thinking is they'll probably bring those. I see them out on like near Herring Cove Beach out in P-Town, right? These big rubber.
Yeah, they have,
pads that
the
that
town,
you can,
the town has those.
yeah, just
Yeah,
roll
I think
out.
they use down at Old Silver Beach,
I don't
probably
know,
every beach,
so-
I'm not sure. but-
So.
Okay,
I've only seen them at, I see a small one at Chappie, but I've seen them like, for wheelchair accessibility and everything out at like Herring Cove. So,
okay.
yeah, so that's fine. They're gonna be providing that. And it's gonna be a much softer slope when they recreate it, take that, foundation out. The area is gonna change, and there is gonna be a lot more improved access from the old bridge approach to the beach. That side of Minot, the Minot West into the Haddad parcel is hopefully gonna be a lot more accessible.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah,
All right,
I'll move to accept the order as discussed.
anybody for a second?
Harris, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept the order conditions as discussed. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Pretty,
Pat,
Harris, aye.
and Peter.
Walsh, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted the order of conditions. Thank you. Next up, vote order of resource area delineation, AMP Solar Development, Inc., 41 and 48 Theater Drive, East Falmouth, Mass.
This is for the, and forgive me, I don't have that with me tonight. I think it's 5 or 6 small isolated freshwater wetlands and isolated land subject to flooding out on the golf course. Mark worked with LEC to define those boundaries, so it's just to set the boundaries on the plan. I am going to make a finding that we are not confirming the boundaries of Coonamessett Pond or Round Pond at this time. It is just the wetlands that were shown on Cape and Islands plan and delineated by LEC.
Okay, before we go any further, Betsy, would you give us the quorum,
It's the same,
please?
it's the same
you.
quorum that just
I-
voted,
Thought so,
you and Courtney and Pat and Mark and Peter.
on the record. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anybody have anything they want in there? All right. Jen, is there anything else we should consider on it?
Nope, it's just setting the resource area boundaries, so there's really no conditions that you can put. You just accept the boundaries of the wetlands as delineated. And Mark made them go back out and change it. He was adamant, so they did.
God bless Mark.
I know.
All right. So we're voting we need a motion and a second to accept
I'll move,
this delineation.
I'll move to accept the order of resource delineation as discussed.
Sarah, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Renee, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted. That is all we have, folks.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Carla Hawk, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawk's eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter.
Walsh, aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.